Today we cover my top 10 of 2025. First up, we have a look at number 10, that of the Transformers Void Rivals 3-pack with comic from Comic-Con San Diego, Comic-Con 2025. This made it onto my list because it is the start of something amazing when it comes to the Transformers and the Energon universe, because as we know, there will be a Skybound Energon Universe Optimus coming out, and I'm sure they'll do more characters using either existing molds or new molds. I'm just very excited to have figures from this. The thing about this and why it made it to my top 10 on top of it being, the start of something amazing, is just that it gave us a really cool version of Jetfire that in my opinion matches way better with the cartoon than the Siege one. So now my Siege one is definitely my Netflix series Siege Jetfire, whereas this one is my G1 Jetfire. That and just getting O-ring versions of two of the characters from the Energon Universe's Void Rival comics is just really awesome. It was my favorite exclusive at Comic-Con. I think the next one that follows it is probably the Cold Slither set, which unfortunately did not make this list because there were so many amazing things this year, and as fun as that was, it was something that I did not feel like was in my top 10, but it is definitely an awesome set. But yes, I am very excited for this, not only because of the figure, being really cool, but the comic that came with it was, the cover was done by Marcelo, who is a Transformers artist, who's well known. He made it into the Hall of Fame for Transformers, and he was actually at the convention signing it for a very reasonable price. I think it was $20 a signature, so you could have him sign the comic or the box, which he worked on the box art too, I believe. But yeah, really cool set, definitely well deserving of my top 10 in my opinion. And coming in at number 9 is the Star Wars The Black Series Walmart exclusive Commander Cody and his Phase 2 armor. And this made it in my top 10 because I was very excited to get Commander Cody on the new body. The original one was nice, but the articulation was definitely limited and couldn't get into as many dynamic poses as I wanted. And I was very excited to get this version of Commander Cody on the newer body. I'm hoping one day we'll get a Phase 1 version, but I really liked it. I love it because it kind of, harkens back, is that the word I'm looking for, to the Revenge of the Sith, the scene where Order 66 is given as, just an iconic scene from that movie with Commander Cody and the little hologram of Emperor Palpatine, which this one comes with, which is really cool. It took a lot of me not to, when this went on clearance, buy a couple more just for the accessory to give to my other clone commanders. But it is definitely one of the coolest accessories in my opinion when it comes to Star Wars this year. It might be even the coolest accessory this year, hands down, when it comes to figures, having that. There's a lot of cool accessories, but this one definitely tops it for me, so it's kind of like a top accessory of the year too. The figure is incredible, the accessories are incredible, and the original packaging is what really got me to go, wow, that's really cool that they're giving us that. They did that with the 2008 Clone Wars stuff from Target. They've done it with the retro Star Wars figures that they did on the vintage collection cards blowing up with the different movies. And so it's exciting to see them do that kind of stuff in 6-inch scale. The figure, like I said, is incredible. The head was okay. Like a lot of these in my top 10 this year, I got the chance to review these because when I bought them, I sat down and did it. So if you want to watch the review to any of the figures that are in my top 10 this year, the link in the description down below will be there, along with, if the product is available, the link is in the description down below so you can buy it yourself. But yeah, this is in my number 9 spot because it's just a really awesome Star Wars figure, and I'm pretty sure it's the only Star Wars figure that made it in my top 10 this year. There were a lot of great figures, but just there's so many other brands that had cool figures that I wanted to. I had a really hard time. I think if I gave an honorable mention to Star Wars, another figure that I thought was cool this year would probably be the Phase 1 Captain Rex. It just didn't make it my top 10 because there were things about it I did not like as much when I opened it. I don't even know if I did a review on it. I think it didn't have soft goods for the kilt or whatever it's called that they have, and there were parts about it that I just did not enjoy as much. I don't really know why they went certain ways with it, but yeah, it did not make it my top 10 because it was just not as exciting or impressing as this figure. And coming in at number 8 is a unique item. It is that of the Marvel Legends X-Men 97 Sentinel made to order figure, which if you want to get one, it is still available on Pulse as of this top 10, but the quantities are running low. And this figure made it my top 10 because it was just really awesome. it's, you know, I like the concept of made to order also, so this is kind of a way for me to talk about that. I have not, you know, I just got this figure at the end of the year. I got to play with it. I never got a chance to review it, but it is just really awesome to have, and it's really cool. And I love the interchangeable accessories, and it's just fun to put in with the X-Men 97 display because I am enjoying that cartoon animated series, and I'm looking forward to the next season. But yeah, it's really cool. The articulated fingers, the, you know, double jointed, you know, stuff, all the fun like features and things like that. In a way, this is kind of like a mini review on it. It's just really awesome, and I love the concept of made to order. I think that, you know, that's a really good way to get things out there. We just did the Arctic Hiss tank made to order. It just got over, and it's one of those things where the idea of, you know, doing that is really cool. The Dragon Man, the Mephisto, the new Apocalypse that just happened a while ago for X-Men 97, which I did pick up because I'm very excited for that one. It's just a nice concept, and I'd like to see each of the brands do it more for things they don't think will be as successful, but fans want it. Like Transformers, there's quite a few I can think of that could fit in that, you know, made-to-order line of things. But it's just really fun. The figure overall, like I said, amazing accessories, amazing articulation, a really good price when it first came out. I think it was like $175 plus tax when I first bought it. Now it's, I think, like $220. With the inflations and everything like that, but it's still, in my opinion, worth the $220 if you are looking to pick up something and you didn't get the first Sentinel like me from the HasLab. It's just really awesome, so that is why it is in my top 10. And coming in at number 7 is the Marvel Legends mini comic series ROM the Spaceknight, and this was definitely making it in my top 10 the moment I knew it was coming out. Back when we had the red prototype they showed off, when I saw it, I went, that is definitely going to be in my top 10 of 2025 when it finally comes out and it gets to me. And it is an amazing figure. I love every part about it, the accessories, the fact that it comes with the mini comic that he can hold, or you can have, you know, one of your other characters hold. It's just really awesome, and honestly I really love the concept of the mini comic series. I know it's not a Build-A-Figure piece, but it is something kind of fun where you don't have to buy every character from the wave now if you don't want to. You can pick and choose. They have been all pretty amazing characters that have been coming out in this wave that fill in gaps of teams and stuff like that, and it's a really cool way for them to do that. And honestly, I like the idea of slowly having Build-A-Figures go the way of just having a deluxe figure or, you know, a larger figure like they're doing with some characters, like they did with the Venom from the Gamerverse. They could have thrown that in as a Build-A-Figure wave, but they chose not to. That way, when they released the video game wave, you could pick and choose the Spider-Man suits you want and not have to buy them all just to build Venom. I think it's awesome they're doing that. They are still doing bath waves. They're just not as many. But yeah, this is definitely a really cool figure to have. I really hope we get more characters like this, like we do with Chris Starr, and we got Warbow. To have ROM Spaceknight now, I really hope we get other things like Micronauts, or maybe even Mask characters, since they had, I think, a comic at one point. I don't know if it was Marvel, though, that made it, so it might not work there, but they are owned by Hasbro, so they could do that if they wanted to. But yeah, just a really awesome figure, and it's fun to have this because I had the 3-inch one from the Comic-Con exclusive a while back, but having him in 6-inch with the rest of the Marvel Universe is really fun. Plus, he can fit in with your G.I. Joes if you want to put him with the Wreckage, or who's it, Wreckage from the Tiger Force pack. If you remember the comics when they did the whole whatever that universe was where IDW had all the characters together and stuff that Hasbro had, and ROM Spaceknight had to vaporize some Joe characters because they were actually Diowraiths. But yeah, definitely an awesome figure, and I'm really glad that it was able to make it into my top 10 of 2025. And coming in at number 6 is a figure that I was very excited to get from the Masters of the Universe Revolutions, or whatever their 6-inch, 7-inch line is called. New Eternia Roboto, and I was hoping we'd get a Roboto that was, you know, based off the New Eternia design or a classic design, and I'm very excited that we got it. I got a chance to see this at Comic-Con and talk to the designers and the creators and the marketing people from the team, and they were very excited to hear that, you know, there were fans that were excited for New Eternia Roboto. And as a fan of Roboto in general, because he's just, you know, a robot, and I am a Transformers fan, and I love, you know, robots, be it big ones that are powered by pilots or ones that are sentient, it is always fun to get a robot character. And it's just awesome to see that they were able to translate the accessories and the weapon arms and stuff like that and still give him, you know, the ability to swap it out, and then also the interchangeable, you know, mouthpieces, and then all the cool clear parts. It's just a really awesome figure, and I'm really glad we got it in 2025. and it's just fun to, you know, play with, and you don't even need to have any other figure to kind of have with it from Masters of the Universe. You could just have him on his own, and he could interact with your, you know, Death's Head and your Hot Rod if you wanted to, and have it be, you know, in the same kind of, you know, vein of things. Giant robot characters from comics having interactions. But yeah, really cool figure, really excited about it. I do know that it went to Ross at one point too, so people were picking it up there and they were talking about how cool it was. But yeah, it is a really awesome. Now we are in the top 5 toys, part of the top 10. So this is the top 5 toys that I was most excited about, and of course coming in at number 5, it would have been higher up if it didn't have unfortunate QC issues that required some maintenance on the toy when it got here. But coming in at number 5 is the Transformers Robots in Disguise Omega Prime HasLab. Funny thing is, technically we bought this like in 2024, 2023 maybe. I can't remember when I backed it. But it took a while, and it finally got here in 2025. I got to play with it. I did not do a review on it because of, you know, the maintenance that had to be done on it, just, you know, worrying about that kind of stuff and checking it for any of the QC issues people were pointing out. So I was more worried about, you know, checking on that than putting it out for a review. But maybe in the future there'll be a review on it. But it is just an amazing figure. The reason why this made it in my top 10, even though it had some, you know, ups and downs, is because I loved the 2001 Transformers Robots in Disguise series. That was kind of my introduction to Transformers, and then I went back and, you know, watched the VHSs of Transformers G1 and Beast Wars through Blockbuster, which was awesome. So it's one of those things where, you know, Fire Truck Optimus has a, you know, part of my heart that, you know, it's something that it's got a soft spot there, because it is just the first Optimus Prime I saw. And then also just all the different characters from that series were really fun. I loved Robots in Disguise 2001. But yeah, this figure, it's just really cool. There's more to it than just being, you know, the Optimus I liked. The concept that they were able to take the older figure and, you know, improve on it in certain parts. The fact that we got a weaponizer out of Ultra Magnus's weapon, so now it's Blue Bolt, I think is what its name is. It is really cool. And then we also got, you know, I think it's little Cerebros. So if you have a Fort Max, you can kind of do that. I know that there have been people making customs of that. Hopefully one day Hasbro will make it, and give us like a variant of Cerebros, and then that way we could use either one. But yeah, it is just a really cool figure. I know a lot of people said it's kind of, you know, close to the old one, but there are some improvements on it. I like the different parts of it, the ability of it having chrome still in certain areas, and they remembered from the Star Saber to make it more, you know, padded and protected, so that was good. But yeah, no, I really liked this figure. It was definitely something that was going to make it in my top 10. I just didn't know if it was going to be, you know, closer to the top 3, but I knew that I liked it and I wanted to cover it here and talk about it and just, you know, put it in there because it is something that, you know, has, you know, connection to my, you know, childhood and stuff like that. But yeah, that is number 5. Let's head on. Coming in at number 4 is G.I. Joe's Classified Series Crystal Ball from the Walmart exclusive. I was able to get mine on Hasbro Pulse because of the limited quantities there, so it was nice to be able to get my hands on this figure. It made it into number 4 because it's an amazing figure. I think it actually won out in the G.I. Joe fan vote this year too. Just the fact that we're getting characters like this from Hasbro is just awesome, in my opinion, from the G.I. Joe team. The fact that you've got like this glowing green sword and this like Cthulhu head and, you know, the crystal ball and the shield and the little revolver, like the revolver is my favorite like part of it. Like out of all the guns we've gotten from G.I. Joe, it's really cool looking. And the character's just really awesome. If you know the history behind the character, then you know that it's, you know, really, you know, the origin is really cool. I just really like that we're now getting more figures to kind of go around this, like the Ghost Vipers. I know that I have my crystal ball surrounded by some Ghost Vipers, and then, you know, all the glowing monster wolves and snakes, and it just looks really awesome. I love clear plastic, glow in the dark, anything like that is always awesome. I actually even picked up a rubber snake that glows in the dark that's green to kind of have crystal ball commanding. And it's just really awesome. You know, the figure is incredible. I think it might have been the only G.I. Joe figure that made it in my top 10, even though we had a lot of great figures. Like some honorable mentions would be, I'm a big fan of Beachhead. I think he came out this year in the retro collection, and then we also got the Night Force one. But it's one of those things where, like I said, there was just so many cool figures this year, and as we get to the top 3, you'll see why those 3 definitely had, you know, really filled gaps in collections that I really wanted. But yeah, really awesome G.I. Joe figure. I'm really glad that I was able to get my hands on it, and I'm really glad that they're building around it and that we have this really cool character to add to our collection. And we are now in the top 3, and coming in at number 3 is that of the Four Horsemen Studios Mythic Legions Traveling Exclusive Legendary Barbarian. And the reason this one is in my top 3 is it is hands down the coolest figure from Four Horsemen this year, in my opinion. There are a lot of cool figures, but this one, the reason, like I said, the top 3 are things that fill, you know, gaps in collections that I really want. And so this one, I like it because, as you can tell, there are several different hair pieces that you can put on this figure, as silly as that sounds, to make them different versions. But I definitely keep the black hair on this one because this is filling in my Conan the Barbarian in my collection for my Savage Avengers. I know that the odds of us getting a Marvel Legends Conan the Barbarian or Conan is probably very slim, because they would have to go to the, you know, people that own the rights to it and ask, and there's so many people making Conan the Barbarian figures, and I wanted a figure that was, you know, slightly bigger, slightly bulkier than the normal Marvel Legends figures to be my Conan, because I know that he'd be a bigger character when it comes to the figures that would be along with him, and like Doctor Strange and stuff like that. And this definitely fills in that spot. And also, it's just a really cool figure because you can put on other, like, you can make him look like He-Man, you can make him look like was it Quasar the Barbarian, or I always forget the name of that character with the brown hair. And it just has a lot of different, you know, and there's of course their, you know, usual Barbarian themed head, and the accessories are amazing. And I had a fun time, you know, getting this figure. I was able to get it at an actual event being held in the Northern California area, the Mythic Legions. Those are called the Mythic Meetup, and the Mythic Legions event here in Northern California. It was really cool. If you can go to their next one, which they are talking about having another one in 2026 this year, and you're in the Northern California, Western, you know, area, West Coast, definitely swing by it. It's really cool. They had a painting competition. They had a diorama competition. They had all kinds of vendors, all kinds of cool things. They even had, you know, some guests who work with the company, but the figure is just incredible. I love the different diversity pieces, like the diverse pieces, like they have like the chains, they have shoulder pads, they have different like leather straps and stuff that you can put weapons on and stuff. And it has every kind of weapon you could think that you'd want your barbarians to have. I know the only thing now is I need to get the Atlantean sword for Conan 3D printed to put with it, so that it is more Conan looking for when I put it with my Savage Avengers. But yeah, that is my top, my third figure of the top 10, because it is just awesome, and I had a wonderful time, you know, acquiring it, and I had a wonderful time playing with it, and it fills in a gap in my collection. Coming in at number 2 spot is, of course, the Marvel Legends Maximum Series Spider-Man. And I knew this figure was going to be in my top 10. I knew it was going to be in the top 5. And the reason why is because I've wanted a McFarlane-looking Spider-Man for a long time, since the Comic-Con exclusive that I missed out on with the Raft, where it looked kind of like the McFarlane one. I've been going to really hope one day we either get that figure reissued or we get a figure that looks like it. And this pretty much nails that for me. It looks so much like the McFarlane art. Even in this photo, you can see of him swinging. It looks incredible. I had a wonderful time talking about it. In my opinion, it is my favorite Maximum Series figure we've gotten between Deadpool and Hulk recently, which I did do a review on both of them. And my only thing about Maximum Series that kind of makes me confused is what part of it is Maximum. Is it the articulation? Is it the accessories? Because with Hulk, I didn't really see either of those. With Deadpool, I saw a lot of cool accessories, a lot of cool articulation. I think really it's just a way for them to make a character and give it a lot more than the standard figures, because we've seen that some of the standard figures come with a lot less. But this Spider-Man, even if it was just a single packed figure with only like a couple extra hands, is awesome. The fact that we get all these extra accessories and web effects that can be used with your other Spider-Man figures is incredible. It is just an awesome figure, and I'm excited to have it in my top 10 of 2025, and I'm really glad. I feel like it is definitely deserving of the top 3, in my opinion. But think that is just a cool figure. I love the art style on it. I love all the articulation, the poses you can get into, and it's just really awesome. And coming in at number 1, the number 1 toy of 2025 for me. Is it a surprise? Probably not if you know me and what I'm a big fan of. It is that of Transformers Studio Series 86 movie Leader Class Megatron. This is my number 1 figure of the year because it is awesome to finally have a very screen accurate looking, or mostly screen accurate looking, Megatron in robot mode. Yes, I know he transforms into a tank. I don't care. In my opinion, whenever you get a Megatron toy, if he can transform into something, that's awesome. Because really, if I want it to be screen accurate, there's no way to transform into a gun that Starscream or the other Decepticons could hold. And like, he would transform into, you know, a 1-for-1 gun. So in my opinion, having him and then the, you know, DNA design upgrade kit for Optimus coming with that Megatron gun, I'm just going to have that one. And then when I have Megatron transform, he'll just, you know, be that gun mode put in someone's hand. So he'll most likely stay in robot mode. But on the note of DNA, they are doing an upgrade kit to turn him into the Skybound Energon Universe tank gun Megatron, and it looks really cool. And also the gun handle parts and stuff can transform into the weapon stand from the G1 toy, which is really cool. So yeah, you would need an upgrade kit to turn him into a gun or have other stuff, but honestly, just as he is, with the sword, with the, you know, tank mode and stuff like that, his little gun he comes with, which honestly, you could use the core class Megatron gun that looks like him. You could use any other gun mode we've gotten. You could even use the retro Starscream from the 86 movie Walmart figures. You can take that gun and use it. There's so many other options. And not to mention, if you really want to gun Megatron, there are third parties that do that, and there's the Masterpiece one. But for, you know, Hasbro licensed Megatron that looks really good in robot mode sitting on a throne or giving orders to the other Decepticons, this does it for me. It's incredible. I think the team over at Hasbro, when it comes to Transformers, did an incredible job on the robot mode. And the fact that you can hide the tank in it, the guys at Takara and Hasbro are wizards when it comes to engineering. You can't even tell he transforms into a tank when he's in robot mode. The treads are hidden behind his feet, and most times I'm staring at my figures on the shelf and they're facing me, so I don't even see those. So it's a really awesome figure in my opinion, and the tank is pretty decent. There's a lot of fan modes that people are doing that make it even more cool because you can kind of change out things, and like I said, you know, there's all kinds of different ways to do stuff with the vehicle mode. And I just like the idea that it still transforms. Because yes, you could get a Yellow Park Megatron, you could get a Blockies Megatron, you could get a toy Megatron like the red version from Walmart that they had and Hasbro. But it's still fun to know that this transforms into something and that it has a really good screen accurate Megatron. So that is why it is in my number 1 spot. Plus, I'm a sucker for Transformers. It'd be odd if, you know, a Transformer wasn't, you know, closer to the number 1 spot. But it's one of those things where I just really liked this figure, and that is why it's in my top 10. Like I said, if you want to watch any of the reviews I've made on these items and my thoughts on them in more detail, or you want to pick them up yourself, the links will be in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching my top 10 of 2025. I look forward to my top 10 of 2026 because there's a lot of cool stuff already announced coming out in 2026. We went into 2026 knowing there was going to be awesome stuff already coming out. Not just because of leaks, but because of actual official news. It has been a wonderful time of collecting and reviewing this last year, and I'm looking forward to the new year. If you've been with me the whole time or from the beginning, thank you so much. If you're just joining me, thank you so much for watching. I look forward to 2026 and more reviews and more toy news and all kinds of awesome stuff. Let me know down in the comments below who were your top 10. If you didn't have a top 10, who your top 5, 6, 7, 3, whatever, 6, 7. Let me know who your top figures were, and let me know what figures you thought were cool. Let me know if any of the figures in my top 10 made it to your top 10, what figures you would have put in your top 10, all that fun stuff, so we can interact and have a fun time talking in the comments. And I'll catch you in the next video.